guys. So this is Thoughts with Queen T, and my thought or topic for today is going to be on vulnerability. And with vulnerability, it could be talking about your feelings, talking about anything that's kind of going on in your life, because I feel for some of us that's a little bit harder than others. And that could be for a variety of reasons. For some, it's, hey, how you were raised. For some, it's this perception, you kind of have to be that way. And what I mean by that is, for men, it's more common to not show emotion, while for women, it is more common. However, you do have women that don't show emotion. And it also can be based on kind of the experiences or different events that you've been involved in. And what I mean by that is, there's one thing with how you were raised, and there's another thing with different situations that you've been in. Because it could be, recently someone said something to you, or, a situation that occurred where it's kind of made you question or made you rethink how you maybe go about things and kind of restructure kind of everything about yourself. And should you be so vulnerable, or should you kind of be a little bit more guarded? And so with all these different kind of factors involved, it becomes a little bit harder for some to share than others. Like for myself, you have, like I mentioned earlier, for men, it's a lot more common for them. It's that perception where you shouldn't show emotion, you shouldn't, have feeling or whatever. It's been very fortunate to see a lot of them grow and be a little bit more open with their emotions and their feelings, but you still have that perception. But you also have women who also feel that way. And that's just maybe based on how they're raised, and maybe based on different situations that they've been in. I know for myself, I was raised in a military family. It was, you kind of, not saying you couldn't be happy or angry or any of that, but when it came to crying, it really was, did somebody die? Like, did something really traumatic happen for you to be expressing yourself this way? So it's not like you could just, cry just to cry. You had to really have a valid, like, good reason. And even when it came to, hey, if you have depression or anxiety, it's like, well, why? Like, nothing, like, you've got a good life, like, nothing bad's going on. And so it makes you kind of like, yeah, nothing bad is going on. So it's things like that where it makes you start to like rethink, or, yeah, maybe I should not feel this way or think this way. And it's maybe not until a little later, maybe once you would leave the house, maybe once you would probably, experience different things, see other people, and understand, oh, I can kind of open up a little bit more. Maybe your family dynamic is not the same as everybody else's family dynamic. You experience a little bit, you experience other things that are very different, and once you kind of start to understand and absorb all of that. But even then, you might have situations where somebody says something to you. You could be going through something. You will come across a variety of people where some are going to be more accepting than others. Some are going to be more empathetic and sympathetic, while some just won't care. They won't care what's going on in your life, and that's where you just have to be very cognizant and kind of observant as to, okay, how do they handle kind of other conversations that I've seen? How are they handling our conversations? Because if you like share things and then, not saying they get a little bit more heated or whatever, but they get maybe more, they have more girth, they have more like spice to them or something. They just have more to them in regards to information that, something's bothering you, something's going on, and you feel with this person, hey, I can share that with you. And they have said, yeah, you can share anything with me. I don't want to say take that with a grain of salt, but sometimes you will have like I've come across that. So that's the only reason where it's like it becomes very hard because it's like that's been my situation. You come across, a person where it's like, oh, you can tell me anything. And you share like, hey, this is how I've been feeling. You become very vulnerable. And later on, it's like, yeah, they say something to you that is essentially saying like, I don't want you to share that anymore with me. You talk too much about it, like whatever. Don't want, like, essentially like almost omitting things from your life. And so it's like, oh, okay, like, never mind. Like, it's almost as if they can be vulnerable with you, but you can't be vulnerable with them. So that's where, in situations like that, it becomes very, I feel, tricky. And then it gets complicated because then in your mind, you almost associate maybe that interaction with other interactions, because is this going to end up like that? They're not. Like, it's not, but in some cases it could. But you don't know until you hear it from whomever else, and you try to be more expressive and share those things with them. But the thing is after a while, if you do decide, hey, shouldn't share anything, like, hey, I don't need to share my feelings or anything with anyone, that's going to get very lonely. Like, you have to share something with somebody. There are times where, even for myself, like, I like to think and feel like, yes, I am a rock, okay? But we all have things that go on in our lives. And whether it's I share it with my significant other, I share it with a friend, I share it with at least somebody. You have to share something with somebody. Like, you don't have to go into extreme detail if you do not want to. But as much as you think it's a rock, the rock also crumbles. Like, the rock is also, like, it has to crumble at some point. And as much as you keep that stuff inside, it does just start to become, I think, very lonely. And it starts to, I don't, like, it just also, I would almost say messes with your mind, because it will, if you feel like, if you're feeling a certain way, you have nothing to share with, like, anybody. If you decide to, like, oh, I don't need to see, like, a therapist, like, even just to see a professional of any kind to talk to about it, and you just keep it all in, it's just, it messes, I feel, all around. you can definitely write it down. Highly recommend that. But it, it it's freeing to at least go that extra mile to put it out there. Like, I get where, because if you have the same mentality as me, you don't want to be the center of attention, okay? Like, you don't, like, oh, I just want to let people know. I don't need like everything else involved with it. I just want to let you, like, you're aware this is what's happening. So there you go. Like, that's really all you want. You know, you don't even care if you get a response, honestly. You're just like, hey, I'm just throwing that out there. Or they say, like, okay, good to know, you know, like, just a quick short, like, good, hey, good to know, you know. You don't need the, oh, you know, I'm so sorry, you know, all of that. You don't need all of it. And even then, you know, you maybe just don't, maybe you just too don't just want any drama. You don't want to be a burden, like, you don't want to feel like you're a burden in any way. You're just like, hey, I'm just putting it out there. This is how it's going, how it is. Thank you. Like, there you go. Like, not to make it a big, like, showstopper or anything. And even then, it's like, if that's all you need and that's all you have to do, that is also fine. Every person, every individual is very different. And that's where, you know, it really just depends on you. Like I said, I personally get where it's very hard to have that vulnerability. It's very hard to open up depending on everything that's happened. But you at least have to share and let somebody in, and talk it out, write it out, something at least. So those are my thoughts on that. Feel free to leave your thoughts down below, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.